All right, I think it's time. Yeah, let me turn off my phone so nobody else has to listen to this stuff. Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Placer County Parks Commission to order. And let's start with a flag salute. Ann?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is also on Zoom and on telephone. I am not going to give that information out because if they're not here and they're not listening, they can't hear it. So let's do the roll call. Do you want to go through? Okay.
Dan Carpenter?
Here.
Richard Kapp?
Here.
David Ticker?
Here.
Virgil Anderson?
Here?
James Reader?
Here.
Don Bergman?
Here.
Jeremy McCollum?
Here.
Wow, all of us.
It's a good meeting. All right. Have the commission had a chance to take a look at the agenda?
Yes, sir.
Any deletions from that agenda? Seeing none, is there a motion?
I'll move approval of the agenda as presented.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor of approval of the agenda, signify by aye.
Aye.
Passes. We have the meeting minutes from our last meeting, which was in January. Any corrections? Hearing that there is no corrections, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Please file those. We're moving on to public comment. Public comment at this time is reserved for things that are not on the agenda. So the public may address the commission on those items that are not on the agenda. The public comment period, the total period is limited to 15 minutes, so please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. If all comments have not been heard, then we will table those public comments until the end of the meeting and then finish at the end of the meeting. Do we have anybody who would like to address the commission at this time? Is there anybody online? Okay. Seeing none, we will move on to report from the administrator. Andy?
And I'm going to be turning that over to Dan for tonight, who's running our meeting for us on behalf of staff.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. First off, we would like to introduce the newest member of our team, Alex Fish. He is our new principal planner. He will be working with Lisa, Ted, and Sean on land development and capital improvement projects. He brings over 20 years of experience as a planner in our community development resource agency, and he is already intimately knowledgeable about the biggest subdivision projects that will be coming online over the next 25 years. So, Alex, you want to?
Thank you very much, Dan. Met each year and really looking forward to joining the Parks team. Exciting, full of mine. Really, I've been looking for an opportunity to join up with this group and participate in very important work that you all do to help bring more parks and recreation facilities, uses, and open space uses. Residents of the county. So, again, with the vision on
All right, welcome.
Welcome on board.
One of the things we're very excited about is some of the big projects that are going to affect parks in the next 25 years, the big specific plans, Placer Vineyards, Riolo Vineyards, Placer One, Village at Palisades. Alex has already spent years working on those projects, so he comes very up to speed on a lot of influential projects. So welcome, Alex.
We have a couple more updates for the commission. The contract for park dedication fee update has been awarded to Wilden Financial Services. Work will begin shortly on that project. The contract for the schematic design and cost estimate of the Olympic Valley Turf and Playground Replacement Project has been awarded to Yamasaki Landscape Architects. They are the architects for the Dry Creek Park and the Feist Park, and work will begin on that shortly as well. And then the last one we have is we are still planning on holding a ribbon cutting ceremony with Newcastle School District for the Newcastle School Field in conjunction with our May Parks Commission. And then we'll have more details on that. And then at the end of our meeting, when we discuss our May meeting, we have a few other items to add to that as well.
Thank you. Do we have a,
I have a question, and I would assume it comes under Parks Administrator. I had a question for Andy or for you regarding the status of the Bear River fishing access and the potential. Right now, we have a contract for a short-term contract with Department of Fish and Wildlife, and there's been talk about it being extended, and I just want to know if what's the standard right now.
Sure, I'll field what we know today. So we did enter into a 2-year agreement with the Department of Fish and Wildlife for the Bear River access property. If you're not familiar with that, it's about 200 acres of property on the Bear River where Plumtree and Milk Ranch roads come together, just below Colfax and Weimar. We've managed the property on behalf of the state since the 1960s. We did this latest agreement we entered into, just kind of rearranged the responsibilities of who is down there. It eliminated camping, at least in the short term, during the term of this agreement. It gave responsibility to the county, continued responsibility for ranger patrol and daily janitorial maintenance and cleanup for day use. And it has been really well used for day use. And then the state picked up their role in vegetation management, management of the river, more of the land management. So that was entered into in February of 2023. So the first year, we just passed our first year in February of 2024. And we have begun to have some discussions with the state. There hasn't been any outcome of it yet, but they have expressed an interest in talking about, you know, what it's going to look like beyond this year. They do realize the year will come and go quickly, and they are interested in talking about, you know, what will happen long term down there. But the details of that have yet to be discussed and ironed out. And so we do expect that there will be a public process, public disclosure before the end of this agreement in February of 2025. We'll bring the public into it as much as we can.
any other questions for the administrator?
Thank you.
All right. If we can move on to the park dedication fee and the fund analysis report, or did you include that already?
I'm going to go ahead and take
All right.
that. So that's our park dedication fee balance. You can see we continue to get healthy increases. We did just get a $250,000 lump sum payment from a age-restricted home in Granite Bay, so that bumped up area number 10. I do want to just draw your attention to a few of the accounts. Two of them are the subject of tonight's action items. There's a request from Colfax that you'll hear in a moment for $130,000, and a request from the Granite Bay area for $950,000. In addition to those, we have received a request from Auburn Recreation District that we expect to take through the max and bring to your commission in May. That's from the Meta Vista Auburn area. A fairly small request for about $35,000, and it's for Meta Vista Park scoreboard. So we'll be processing that and bringing it back to you. And then you also, in one of your, I can't remember the previous meeting, but you did recommend $150,000 from Area 14, Bear River Applegate area. That has not come out of that account yet. We were trying to package it up with the construction contract itself to bring to the board so we could kind of kill two birds with one stone and get the work underway. But that process is still going on. We do expect, hopefully into late spring, summer to bring that before the board and get that project built. That's the playground that we're building at Applegate Park. We used to have a playground next to the library that was on an adjacent parcel. The county divested that parcel when it quit being a library, and so now we want to give them a playground down within the park. So, but that money, that 150 hasn't come out of Area 14 yet. Those are the only things that came to mind to bring to your attention, but any questions? Happy to field those.
Any questions from the commission? All right. We'll move on to information items, of which there are none, so we will move on to action items. And Ted?
So I'm going to field the first one.
Yeah, good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. I wanted to pass, we weren't sure about Andy's availability tonight, so I kind of took on all the action items. But I want to turn this introduction over to Andy, as he's been working with Lieutenant Connors on this project for quite some time, and he deserves to present this one. Take it away, Andy.
Thank you. So in last year, you recommended and the board approved $75,000 for the Colfax skate feature. Since then, the proponents of the project, or Lieutenant Ty Connors and a bunch of folks who have been working on it, discovered that some of their hopes for volunteer labor and increasing costs drove the project cost up. They're going to have to bid out elements that they didn't know that they were going to have to bid out. And so they've come back, put together a new cost estimate, and requires them to make up about $230,000 of additional cash. And I will introduce and ask Ty to come up shortly with some of your folks. I just wanted to, let me introduce, you can come up right up to the mic and turn it on and get ready. I just wanted to talk about the fund itself. So they're here tonight asking for an additional $130,000 out of Recreation Area Number 3, which has a balance of $190,863, which would take it down to just about $60,000. Recently, the city of Colfax has allocated or dedicated or promised $100,000 for this project in addition to the $130,000 being requested today. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Ty, and I'll also give you the clicker because I believe you got some graphics.
Just a few. Hello. So actually, I'm introducing myself as just Ty Connors. Again, part of this is that I've joined the Colfax Green Machine, which is the nonprofit group that's been supporting the skate park. So I'm actually the vice president of the Colfax Green Machine. Again, the sheriff's office, throughout my career as the station commander up in Colfax, that's what kind of started this whole project when, I had a lot of kids and families saying that there was nothing to do. And that's what kind of started this as my passion. And that's why I joined the nonprofit Colfax Green Machine, so that way we can try and raise money and do what we can to try and build this project. 9 years later, it's been a thing of trying to stay committed. Has been obviously very difficult, but also with a lot of the changes when it comes to funding and then fundraising. We hit COVID and a lot of different stuff that kind of went against us. I just have a few things just to kind of show. Again, this is the preliminary design that we had done. We actually have engineered plans for this park as it looks right now. But then when we went to and met with, I think I've been through 3 city engineers by now, going on so long. We kind of looked at, again, what kind of in-kind donations that we had, the funding that we had. When I first started this project, this skate park here was going to be a $500,000 park. Now it's up to $880,000 park, just because it's been taking so long to kind of get the funding going. And one of the big components of why it got raised so much was the prevailing wage. Prevailing wage went up significantly, and really has just been a moving target for us to try and raise enough money to kind of pull the trigger. We thought last time when I approached you, when you guys graciously approved the $75,000, I was really excited because we were going to go out to bid, and then things just kind of trying to snowballed when it came to the whole prevailing wage, and when the city engineer advised me that this project increasingly went up, that we didn't have that funding. So we kind of had a shift. And again, I don't want to be here asking you guys for additional money. I didn't want to go to the city and ask for money. My whole thing when I first started this project, this was going to be a project all done through nonprofit, through fundraising efforts, and they wouldn't have to use general fund money through the city. That was what I projected. That's what I wanted to do. But obviously with, things that have been unforeseen as far as hurdles that we faced, and also with the economy and the prevailing wage, we had to kind of shift our direction. I've been working with the city and our ad hoc skate park committee with the city council, and just kind of seeing what we can do to approach the city when it came to the park and rec fees. It was amazing. They approved. They actually approved 100,000, but 75,000 for right now, and then an additional 25,000 on approval of what we have to do with this design. And so to kind of counter the effects of wanting to get this project done, it's been very difficult to try and keep. I have a lot of in-kind donations that have been sitting and waiting, and one of them being Tykert Construction for all the aggregate and concrete. Any longer we wait, the more expensive it is for them as well. So trying to keep them engaged. So what we did was kind of looking at redesigning the skate park and the original design that we have. Again, this is the location. It's up at the old pool site that they used to have. We've done all the necessary requirements when it came to the soil studies and stuff like that when it came to this location. That's all been done through the GHD, through the city of Colfax, and all those studies and everything that have been done have been paid for through the nonprofit, not the city. So anything that has been done right now has been all through the nonprofit. Again, just kind of some closer dimensions, or closer visuals of the current skate park. And actually, I'd like to thank Jason. He's here, owner of Milo Sports. He was actually one of the first people I approached when it came to this thing 9 years ago. So he's still been engaged. So I appreciate you for being here. Again, we're going to look at this design, and we want to do is basically to go what we have, what we've done, how can we get this across the finish line? And that being is that we have to look at redesigning the park to fit current budget. And hopefully today, if approved, the amount of money that would be going towards this, that would be our hard line when it comes to our funding on top of our in-kind donations that we're working through a company called New Line. And they're going to redesign and kind of tweak our current design to fit current budget, so that way we can go out to bid hopefully by this December and get this project done after 9 years. So obviously there's been a lot of 9 years in the efforts. I've served a lot of crab feeds over the last 9 years, but it's been definitely a lot of help with a lot of volunteers. But New Line is basically the new direction that we're going. They're well known throughout the world. They design skate parks all over. And this is specifically one thing that they actually do is that this is a common theme with nonprofit skate parks, is they don't reach their goal. And so they kind of have to redesign. And that's one thing they focus on. And so they have parks all over the country and all over the world. And actually they're going to look at our design, and with whatever we have for that budget is to move forward and get it across the finish line. So that being said, I would open up for any questions. I know I gave you kind of a quick brief. I talked to you before, but that's kind of why I'm here now. So
We'll open it up at this time for questions from the commission, and then we'll open it up for questions and comments from the audience. Any questions?
Yeah, I do. So right now, since you don't have the redesign, but you have a certain amount of money, they're going to try to design around that. What happens if it doesn't work? They can't really produce anything that's going to be satisfactory to the group.
So right now, with what we have on top of what the city just approved, yes, they said they can come up with a redesign. It's not that it's a dead project, but trying to get to what we originally had is trying to get to that goal of about $700,000 is the goal that we're trying to shoot for. And if approved, that would get us to that location where they can really try and meet the current design that we have. They're going to have to make some changes, but it's not a dead issue, but it's definitely going to reduce the size of the park to a point where obviously you want to try and create a park that's going to be, well received and challenging and stuff like that. If you create a boring one, then it kind of turns into a hangout. And that's one thing we don't want to do. A lot of stuff that we're working with the designers that they know that's the key focus is making sure you have something that's for beginners to advanced, that's an attraction for people to come to.
Yeah, so you feel confident that these guys can do that for you.
Yes, exactly.
Because I'd really hate to see you to go down this road and then
No,
We're waiting
100%.
again, to do
Yeah,
something
we've been in a
different.
few meetings, we've been in quite a few meetings with New Line, and that's specifically what they want to do is to get this across the finish line, because they know and understand how important it is, and seeing what it does for a community to have something that's valuable like that, and an attraction like that. And so they definitely said that they can make it work with whatever budget we have, they can make something that's going to be unique for Colfax.
I was just curious, and maybe you don't have the answer, but obviously it's a lot of concrete, right? A lot of concrete and steel. Is that at least half the cost of this whole project?
So, concrete's that's your biggest component of it, and Robert here can probably contest to that and talk about, because he's been a big component. He's the president of CalCEMA when it comes to the aggregate, and he's been the one that's been working with Tykert when it comes to that concrete, and it is a good fair amount, and they're still engaged. But again, the longer we wait, the more it costs for them to wait. So. Yeah, go ahead.
That's pretty good. That's a great question. So you look at the inflation we've had over the last couple of years. I'm sorry, I'm Robert Dugan, and my day job, this is my night job. My day job, I run the California Construction Industrial Materials Association. I will immediately disclose that I have a personal interest. I've been going to those crab feeds and spending as much money as I can for 9 years because I'm a local Placer County guy, and God knows, we're the largest growing county for youth in California. I think you guys all probably already know that, guys and gals. So our members, led by Tykert, working with Skate for Concrete, Tony Hawk Foundation, this is actually a national effort, so we've got a lot of support within industry, and I just left the National Ready Mix Concrete Annual Convention in Florida this morning, where we were reminding folks of their commitments. So Tykert, Dana Davis, their head of materials, has gotten a lot of companies to donate the base course, some of the drainage, some of the demolition that may have to be done, and concrete. But in the last 5 years, during these inflationary times, we had 1 year when the rate of inflation for construction materials went up 30%. Another year it went up 18%. I didn't bring those numbers with me because I just came from one of these meetings, so I didn't have them handy. But they're still committed. We got to get the redesign, but New Line, right? New Line is brought in by those same consortiums and Project Cornerstone that are supporting this effort in Colfax to hit the mark. So I got the same feeling you did. They're saying, sure, give us the number, we're going to make it work. So happy to answer any questions you may have for me.
Specific cost-cutting measures drawing this fall.
So the one is that right there is
Cutting down on the amount of cement.
so this right there, the bowl in itself is something that's very expensive or creates a lot of time. So this is something they're looking at maybe removing from the actual design in itself, but trying to keep as much as they possibly can. But they said that the bowl feature in itself is one of the more expensive kind of things because a lot of the infrastructure, the stuff that has to go with it, especially with drainage and all that kind of stuff. But again, all this too is all incumbent on the city too with that redesign, making sure that they approve, again, the current design, and we're working directly with the city engineer to make sure it's done correctly.
Gotcha. So New Line probably knows more about a skate park than the city.
100%. So actually the part of the agreement or contract is they're going to go, once New Line is, they're also projecting to be in the project manager for it as well, because again, the city uses, certain project managers for roundabouts. Well, they know nothing about skate parks. So that's part of another discussion that we're having with the city, is making sure that we have the appropriate person managing the skate park design.
Gotcha. And where's New Line located?
So they're actually in North Carolina. They're not local, but they actually have engineers and stuff that they work with because they go all over the world. So they have someone that's actually the engineers based out of San Francisco.
Gotcha. So they have somebody quasi-local in order to
Yes.
facilitate working with the city,
Yes.
et cetera.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Because they're all basically, there's a lot of different engineer things, but being patented or licensed and stuff like that, in order for them to go on the different states, they have people located in all those locations.
Right.
I have a couple questions. Well, it says here that the additional project funding is 175,000 from Prop 68. Has that been approved by
Yeah,
the
so
city?
our current funding that we have is, it's actually 177,000 something, but we actually got just recently got a extension on that grant, so that way we're not, because it was gonna expire in June, but we got a city manager, they signed over a letter, and we received the letter, and we actually have an extension on that one. The one from you guys is actually expiring in December. But again, we have to, as far as getting extensions and stuff like that goes, because we are looking at going out to bid in December, going into the early spring for construction.
Well, you bring up a good point about the extension. Is that something, and this might be something Andy needs to address, is that something that would just come to us first, or would that just go to the Board of Supervisors for approval to extend it for an extra year?
My expectation is that if this is recommended and we take this on to the board, that we would present the board with an amendment to the original contract that would include the extension and the additional money.
Okay, and if nothing gets spent within the 2 or 3 year period, then all that money goes back into the Colfax area pot, right?
Correct. Every bit of it not spent goes back into this park fee account.
And as far as any other additional funds, again, with the park and rec fees that we have from you guys, and then the one grant from the city for the 177, we have about 94,000 that the Colfax Green Machine, once it turns into a city project, that we'll be giving that money over to the city, because that then will be turning into a city project.
Well, can you tell me a little bit about Green Machines? I mean, I've heard the name, but I'm not real familiar with
Yeah, so
what
Colfax
they
Green
actually
Machine's
do.
been around a long time, and what it is, it's a nonprofit group that basically supports youth activities. And so we kind of support all the different youth activities in Colfax. So you have different teams that are able to raise money to kind of help with equipment costs and other things that they need. So we've right now we currently have like Colfax Nordic team. We have the wrestling. We have junior cheerleaders, and so they're all part of the Colfax Green Machine to give them a nonprofit to work through, and we all work the various fundraising events and stuff like that, so we can raise money. So it kind of helps parents not have to put so much out of pocket when it comes to equipment, uniforms, and stuff like that.
So there is money available in their accounts to do this? Because my concern is that some of this might be wishful thinking. I really don't know. I know that in the past with Colfax, there's been, wishful things to be done, and then doesn't happen because there's not enough funding for it.
So how it works with the Colfax Green Machine is that we have a nonprofit account, but you have encumbered, or basically encumbered funds throughout that account that's specifically for each organization. So we get a thing at a meeting we have once a month that kind of gives you your amounts that are encumbered for your account or for your team, even though it's one account through Green Machine, but that's the way how they divvy it up.
And so there's 94,000 in there.
So and over the last 9 years, we've made well over 140,000. It's just we had to pay money for, the current engineer design that we have was over $25,000 in engineer fees. We had to do a noise study that cost over $6,000. We've been working with GHD, the city engineer, when it came to the topo and soil geology and all the stuff that they do. That's all been coming out of the nonprofit group and our T-shirts. So it's just a lot of stuff that we've been doing, that we've raised a lot of money to get it where we're at today. And right now we have about $94,000 left over.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the commission? Okay, seeing none. At this time, I'd like to, thank you. I'd like to open it up to the audience, and if you'll raise your hands, we'll start in the front row, and we'll just keep on going back. But raise your hands, and I'll point to you. And I'd like you to come up to the mic and state your name. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Either one, or both. And pull the mic down towards you just a little bit. Thank you.
Hello everyone, and thank you for your time. My name is Jade, I'm 11 years old, and I'm in 5th grade. And I've been learning how to skate on my skateboard for 2 years now. Skateboarding has helped me with my confidence and helping me make more friends. I've been volunteering to help our Colfax skate park raise money like the annual craft feed for 2 years now. This goal of the new park being built has become something I'm super passionate about. There's a small skate area in Loomis, but it has a big hill and scares me. There's one in Auburn that is great. That's a great example of the opportunities a skate park can provide to our community. But it has a lot of bowls and scary hills that are for more advanced skaters. My mom took me to a nice park far away in Grass Valley once. I met a lot of new friends and people who helped me as I'm still learning and working on my confidence to skate without help. Even older kids in high school were nice to me and helped me. My experience with skating community has been positive, and they all seem to want to help each other learn and grow. A place closer to home will give the Colfax community more opportunities and learn skateboarding skills, make friends, and build confidence. I really wish we could have a fun and safe place to skate here in our community. My hope is you can help my wish come true and support a positive place for kids like me to learn to skate in Colfax.
The Colfax Skate Park can be the place where kids and adults come to learn, as there are more areas for beginners like us, make friendships, and encourage each other to work on their skills and build confidence together. Thank you again. I hope you choose to support kids like us by helping support this skate park.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to address the council? Yes, ma'am. Oh. Thank you.
Hello. Okay. My name is Weva. I'm a student at Placer. I live here in Auburn, and I'm a skateboarder. And I think that the community really needs this because not only is it like you can get in a lot of trouble for skating in front of businesses, and on the street it can be very dangerous. And that seems to have to happen when there's no skate park, and it causes loitering, which people do not like. But yeah, and the skate park, it creates community, and it, you make friends, and it like, sorry, but it just would really help with just the community in general, and people being able to do things that are athletic. When I feel like after COVID, a lot of kids, they don't really have hobbies, and especially in a place like Colfax, there's not that much to do if you don't play sports. So it can really help with kids that don't fit in with the, the scheduled sports and everything to do athletics. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Hey.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I have a question for you. Trying to get my mic to work. It's finicky. So, do you use the Auburn skate park yourself?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, because I've been there a couple of times to watch people. I'm pretty impressed with
Yeah.
how they skate there. And so, is that a popular place, and is it well used, do you think?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
I love the Auburn skate park. I was there actually like an hour ago.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it
Would it look like anything like this one?
well, a big reason why I actually vouch for this is because the Auburn skate park was built kind of by the city, so it's set up a little bit funky, but what they're doing with having like professionals come in and build this park, it's gonna be a lot better than the Auburn park.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
But yeah.
Answered my question.
Commission, thank you again for your time tonight. I'm Sean Lohman. I'm a council member and one of the members of the Skate Park Ad Hoc Committee. Who could have foreseen that we'd have to come back with all the inflation and things going on and delays that we'd have to ask for more money. But the city did commit, the four members of the council that could vote on this item did commit to providing the additional $75,000 and then another $25,000 upon approval of the redesign plans. I think the city is still behind this 100%, and we'd really like to be able to see this project come to fruition and be something good for our community. So thank you very much again for your consideration on this item.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi there, my name is Jamie Jackson. I didn't prepare anything. I didn't really know this was happening until Facebook told me. But I am one of the original youth that this Colfax Skate Park was projected for over 20 years ago. I'm about to be 34. I'm actually on my way to roller derby practice in Auburn right now. I've been an advocate for this skate park since I was featured in the Colfax Record, hanging out by the theater, waiting to support a skate park in Colfax. I didn't have anything else to do, so I was leaning against a wall. I just want to touch back on what some of these young ladies here have said, that there's a big lack of things to do for youth, and that it's a very, very strong community, skating. A lot of the negatives that I've seen about putting in the skate park have been that there's going to be riffraff that can't be contained. I believe that more adults are going to be participating in this than Colfax believes. I will be there regularly. I have asked Colfax if they could possibly put in a large flat space so that roller derby could actually participate there. There are a lot of skaters in the greater Colfax, larger foothill area that are not being represented, and we cannot afford to go to Woodward. So I would just really like to see this come to fruition. It's something that I've been really passionate about, and I still care about, and I still skate, and I still want a place to skate, and I still want to participate, and I want to give money, and I want to go to crab feeds, and I want to pay your park fee to rent it. So if this could possibly become something that I could participate in my lifetime before I need a hip replacement, I would appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who has a question or a comment? Yes, sir.
My name is Josh Alpine. As a former councilman of Colfax from 2002 to 2012, and since that time served, the whole community was always asking for a skate park. And I just can't believe we were actually here this far. It took us 20 years, but it seems like we finally got the right people to coach it. Ty and the law enforcement community grabbed the reins. The community also started around 2007, 2008, the Green Machine to help with just sports that were not very popular, like wrestling, tennis, swimming, and they ended up providing an opportunity to raise money for the things like the Colfax Skate Park. And the great marriage just happens to be with a fellow board member who happened to be on an aggregate board, or represent aggregate guys throughout the whole United States, to put a thing together and put a partnership together that could actually make something work for a small town. I'd always like to thank this commission for multiple projects that you have funded throughout the last 2 decades in Colfax, the ballparks, the tennis courts, and other things that the community all has greatly benefited from. But even when we did joint community parks master plans, the skate park was in the top, and it always kind of was just pushed aside for other reasons. But there's a chance today, and hopefully the commission would make the approval to see if we can bring the Colfax Skate Park to to fruition. Well, it's been long overdue. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Sir.
Thank you for my minutes. My name is Larry Hilberg. I am also a councilman in Colfax, but I had to recuse myself from speaking regarding the skate park in the meeting because my property is only 50 feet away. I don't want to misrepresent that. I have been a park and recreation commissioner in Morgan Hill. I was a youth coach, a high school coach, a girls middle school coach. I started a girls softball league. I've probably given more time to kids recreation than anybody else in this room. So where this started, it was a surprise, in fact. This skate park was mentioned originally to be for the kids of Colfax. No city funds. That was the original promise, and somewhere in the ballpark of $100K to $200K. What it is now, it's intended more for the region. It's over $800,000 total. It was designed too big for the footprint that was available, and PCWA said, no, we're not going to give up any of our property for this. That necessitated some change. But basically, it was too expensive for the funds that were available at the time. The costs are growing. They still grow. Part of it is because of prevailing wage. My opinion differs a little bit from Ty. I think prevailing wage was always known from the beginning of this project because they were going to use grants. Inflation, yes, but basically it's what in technology we call scope creep. The project grew beyond the ability for Colfax to fund it. So from no city funds, we have gone to $177,000 from the state of California, $75,000 from you folks the last time these guys were here, $100K directly from Colfax, who promised no city funds, and they are asking for $130K more. That is almost $500,000. One of the questions I want to ask, and I'm going to ask it of Ty real quickly, is how much money is available now at Green Machine dedicated to skate park? 94. Okay, thank you. So basically, where it exists today, there is no design. We're starting over. So there is no plan because of no design. There's no engineering updates. There's no known budget. There's no contractor chosen. There's no mitigation intended, and no project management. It's not really in a good place, I don't think. And I want to add that being on the city council, I know that we have no recreation in our budget whatsoever, and we have no money to fix our streets. We're dependent upon grants to do either of those things. So an awful lot of money is going towards something that will certainly benefit some, but maybe not as many as other uses for that fund. So why am I here specifically? Well, again, our property is 50 feet from the intended skate park, and we look down right upon it. There's another home on the other side that's owned by a centenarian in Colfax, who's an icon. She's currently in a rest home now, in fact, but she lives on the other side, so we're very exposed. And there are 7 more homes within 300 feet. I've always been a positive person. It's really hard for me to get up here and express some of these things, but everything I have said up here is the truth. Is it really necessary for anyone to have to live right alongside of a skate park? You know, is it really? Don't we have other places that this skate park could be? Because I am not against skate parks. I am never against kids' recreation. It's in the wrong place, and I'll just say at the very end, even the Tony Hawk Foundation, who donated to this, on their website, they say that the worst place to put a skate park is in an abandoned outfield of a park. And that's exactly where this is. It's behind a water tank, it's behind a building, it's up against our property, and there's bathrooms on the other side along with a splash park and a kid's playground. So it's not visible, and it's going to be unsupervised. So please really think about what you're doing, and I think I probably ran over my 3 minutes, and I'm very sorry about that. But again, there's always another view of things. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I gave him a few more minutes because he's the only one on the other side. All right. Any other comments from the audience? No. Does staff have any comments? And then we'll bring it back on up to the council.
I just wanted to note, we were talking about the Prop 68 per capita funding. I think it might be clear enough, but just to be sure, we're using our own funds that way. We've taken advantage of the same extension. The state allotted funds to the county. We're using them in Sheridan Park, Griffith Quarry, Dutch Flat, and one of that escapes me at the moment. We've also been thankful for the extension to 2027. This is the specific allotment to the city, and they've granted all of that per capita allotment that Colfax has to the skate park project. The contract that we would enter into would be a mirror and extension of the existing contract we have, which does require that the city, and it's a contract with the city, it's not with the Green Machine. So it is the city that would commit to maintenance of this project over the next 20 years as part of that contract and keeping it open to the public.
Thank you, Andy. I'd like to bring it back on up, the discussion back up to the council. And if you have any questions for anybody who spoke, now would be a good time to bring them up. Any questions?
Yeah, now that Andy mentioned that, what do you figure it's going to cost per year to maintain this skate park? Anybody?
That was one thing that I was asked for when I they asked for actually kind of like a study on, actually worked with Grass Valley, and then with, like say the pool, because a lot of people have been asking for a pool. They want to kind of find out how much it costs for the pool with ARD. And when I asked about, how much does it really cost when it comes to maintenance, skate parks are very low maintenance, obviously being all concrete. You're looking at maybe sealing the concrete every so often, and then the garbage is the other thing that you have to do when it comes to maintenance. So when it they didn't give me a definite number, but they said that the maintenance is very, very low when it comes to the overall care of the skate park because it is concrete. So.
Yeah, but it's concrete, and we all know that there's concrete wears out. You get snow and you get ice. I mean, most of the people who come here and ask for a park dedication fees have a good maintenance schedule and a real good idea on what it's going to cost for that, because as Andy pointed out, that's going to be something the city of Colfax is going to do, but we will probably not entertain more money if it's to help repair or help maintain your skate park. So that's just something you need to know.
And then that's where city manager, he sent out an email regarding that when they asked about that with Everline 2 or New Line, is the fact that he projected it would be a very low cost, that where the city would absorb that and not worry about it.
You never got a number on that then?
They didn't give me a number, no, but obviously it's through not the Green Machine taking care of that part, but that'd be on the city for the maintenance and upkeep. And per the city manager said that they would be able to absorb the costs of when it comes to the maintenance because he knows it's low.
All right, thank you, just curious.
Okay, Ty, before you go, can't get away that fast. Subject was brought up about noise from a skate park, and we have a resident that's going to be just a few feet away. How can that be mitigated?
So to give you, I hate to take everyone's time on this thing, but actually when I first projected with the city on this whole project, I was actually looking at American Ramp Company. It was a metal ramp skate park, was my first original push for this because it was much cheaper. with some of the concerns with some local neighbors about that being noisy. I actually took a bunch of kids down to El Dorado Hills where they have a metal skate park, and it was obnoxious. So which we then had to kind of change our look to where if we want to push this, we need to stay away from the ramps because they were louder, and then concrete skate parks were quieter. And so with that being said, we actually did a noise study. It was a third-party company that came and did a noise study regarding the concerns, and it was well below any type of decibel readings where it was very minimal.
I had a office that I worked out of for several years, and it was 75 feet from a skate park. And the only noise that really I heard was when they clapped and slapped their boards. And they did that as an applause, I guess.
Is that an applause? Skate park? Okay.
Okay. That was my understanding. So at least I knew they were having a good time when they were doing that, so. All right.
But anyways, we spent, at the Green Machine, just to make sure to kind of mitigate some of the concerns that there was a noise study done, third party, not related to the Green Machine, through the city to make sure it's done correctly.
Okay, thank you.
Could I have the opportunity to talk about that? I respect your ability to say no.
I'll give you 60 seconds, if you want to come up to the mic.
I have seen the sound test. The footprint for the skate park is rectangular. Alongside of it is a water tank about 60 feet in diameter and at least as high. And the microphones were placed on the other side of the water tank from where the skate park was going to be. And the sound test says it was on the site, and clearly it is not. So just so you're aware if you haven't read it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this time, I'll bring, we have an action item that is in the hands of the commissioners now. If somebody wants to make a motion.
May I make one question? As I review where it is now, how many occasions has the city of Colfax dealt with this issue? And it looks like, if I'm doing the math right, the city's already allocated under their domain $275,000 for this. Is that correct? Ty? I'm seeing the city of Colfax committed $100,000 city-generated park fees, and then you got another $175 that the city got from Prop 68. Is that correct? Yes, sir. Okay, so that's the amount that the city has currently committed to this project over time. And on how many occasions has the city held public meetings in which to vet this project with the citizenry?
On my time on council, I can think of at least 3, maybe 4, including this last meeting. And I've been on the council for 5 years now. So just about every year.
So in the last 5 years, it's had 3 or 4 meetings, committed what I just stated, $275,000. And I'm sure there's been discourse relative to your concern, et cetera. But the city, what do you guys have, planning? You have city commissioners that approve this then?
Yeah, our city council has approved it.
The city council?
Yes.
And what was and how many times was this voted on? Twice for the 2 different funding allocations?
At least that I've voted on it, yes.
Gotcha, okay, so this has been fairly well vetted.
This has been very well vetted.
Through the local government.
Yes, and had many opportunities for public
Colfax.
comment and input, and the majority of the input is very positive on this project.
Gotcha, okay.
And
So
we are, just to address an earlier question, we are prepared to continue maintenance on this project. We can accomplish that with our Park and Rec fees.
With your existing maintenance.
And our maintenance plan, yes.
Umbrella right now.
Yes.
Gotcha, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this point, we need a motion, or it'll die due to lack of motion.
Okay. Reg, I'll make the motion to approve, that we recommended the supervisors approve the additional $130,000 for construction of the Colfax Skateboard Park, totaling a total of $205,000. allocated from this body.
Well, second.
Okay, I'm going to recognize our young fella down here at the end. All right. Would you like to read back the motion? And is there any more discussion? Okay, seeing none, we will,
We need a second, probably.
oh, we did get a second.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dave.
And a second from Hooker.
Recreation Area 3, Colfax area in the amount of $130,000 for construction of a skate park feature at Lions Park in Colfax.
That sound like what you,
Yeah.
okay.
In addition to the 75,000 allocated, whatever year that was.
Okay, so make sure you get that in there in addition to the 70,000 from a couple years ago. Okay. All right, and then if you'll do a roll call for the motion? Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the funds they're asking for in addition to the funds from the year before. And at this point, let's take a roll call.
Roll call.
Yeah.
Okay. Ann Carpenter,
Yes.
Richard Cap,
Yes.
Dave Tooker,
Yes.
Virgil Anderson,
Aye.
James Ricker.
I'd like to say that when this originally came out, I did not support it, not because I didn't support a skate park, but because I felt the city of Colfax still had a contract with the city, with the county to build a swimming pool. That issue is now moot. It's very nice to hear that the city is coming up and stepping forward, and I just want to have Colfax end up with something at the end of the day. So often Colfax just seems to not get it that far. I vote yes.
John Bergman,
Aye.
Jeremy McCollum,
Okay, the motion's been, is passed. So thank you very much, and thank you for your participation.
We'll be in contact with Ty as on the date that it'll move forward to the Board of Supervisors, if anybody's interested.
Thanks, Andy. Thank you, board, appreciate it.
Ted, we'll take a 30-second recess here. Just let them move on out.
In that case, I just came up here.
You can do either way, wherever you're more comfortable.
I'm sure it's not. Thank you. That swayed my face. I gotta get some.
Okay, at this point, we're going to talk about the park dedicated fees for the Eureka Union School District at Cabot School and the tennis court.
Yes, good evening, Chairman, members of the commission, Ted Rell, the Parks Project Manager for Parks Division. Here tonight, we are going to listen to the request for Area 10 funds in the amount of $950,000 to renovate a field at Cabot Junior High and the tennis courts. When we passed the Park and Trail Master Plan, as you guys know, the two most popular items that came out of the community requests were fields and trails. And as you know, Chairman, that we're working with the Granite Bay Subcommittee to work on some trails in the off of Eureka and Granite Bay, and this is the field portion of it. We've been talking with Eureka School District on a couple of options for fields. One of them was some vacant land that was behind their district office on Eureka Road that turned out a little bit complicated, because of it would require a lot of grading, a lot of work. There's no fields there currently. It's just open land. And here at the Cavett School, we have an existing field that just needs to be renovated, and they've done some design to add some additional fields on there. And also, the tennis courts, there was some community input that the popularity of pickleball, they wanted the option that the tennis court needs to be resurfaced, and during the resurface, they wanted, the community had some input about restriping it for pickleball, so it had the two uses. So you can see the existing sports field on the right and the existing tennis courts on the left. And here's kind of an overlay of the fields of how they would look when they're done. And I'm going to introduce to you staff members from the Eureka Union School District to talk about the particulars of the case. That would be Miss Melissa Mercado and Steve Davis from the Eureka Union School District. Take it away.
Thanks, Ted.
Hi, good evening. Melissa Mercado, Chief Business Officer at Eureka Union School District.
And Steve Davis, Maintenance Coordinator. Okay, so our project that we have going on, we have a lot of work that needs to be done on our field to make it safe and open up to the community so that we can have multiple people using it, neighbors, community, sports groups. We've had a lot of sports groups reach out to us. We just recently had the junior Grizzly team reach out. We have lacrosse teams. We have Little League, Lakeside Little League, and a lot of other people that are interested, as well as our sports from our school, Cavett Junior High, cross country. We have neighbors that walk their dog, a lot of mountain bike groups that come through there, and it's a really big freeway basically from the front of the school to the back of the lake. So it's like a trail, a walking path, and the whole community uses that area. So what we wanted to do is make 2 fields that are full size so that we can accommodate multiple sports in up to the older age groups, and then also accommodate lots of different practices. Split the fields up so that everybody can use it, rent it out, and just make it a nice area for the community. We have a lot of issues that are safety issues right now. As you saw in the pictures before, there was some irrigation that needed to be adjusted so that we can maintain the field better and not have the same issues, better head-to-head coverage on the sprinklers, and then also changing the grass over to a Bermuda, which is a lot nicer grass, and it'll just look really nice for all sports that play on the field. And we also have other groups that are interested in joining now that the fields are going to be remodeled and made to accommodate more groups. The other thing is the tennis courts that are going to be both tennis courts and pickleball. There's been a big push to have pickleball, so I think it'll be nice to draw the community in and give them nice access and playing area for both the front of the campus and the rear, as well as a nice trail that will be multiple use to go from the front of the school out to the lake, which will also divert the traffic so that they're not cutting through the middle of our field, and will give them direct access to the gate. So that's kind of our plan, to kind of encompass the whole neighborhood, community, and everybody uses that area for sports or, just recreational use, and accommodate everyone.
At this time, we'll open it up for questions from the council.
Yeah, I have a question. So I see on the lower soccer field and softball field, so how does that infield work with the soccer field?
The softball field? Yes.
The softball field and the infield of the softball field. How does that work in the soccer field?
So what happens is it goes up to the dirt, and it kind of overlaps just a tad for their soccer field, but it opens it so that if there's softball that day, they can use the field, and if it's soccer or soccer practice or lacrosse or football, that they can use the area. It's going to be one flat field that accommodates 2 full-size soccer fields and football, so that there's many of people that can use it at one time, and it's kind of a multi-use space. It's 5 acres, and so it's going to be open, pretty open space.
But isn't the infield dirt?
Well, I think they kind of overlap just a tad of it, and this is just the first sketches that we're making of it. Yeah, so we're just kind of giving some, just so we can give a visual to you guys to show you what we're trying to accommodate and what we're trying to do.
Okay.
So will you be equipping the softball field so that they can have a fence?
What do you mean, a backstop?
No, a fence. A fence, like
Oh,
a
the
home
home
run?
run? No,
Yes.
no.
Okay, so it's just gonna be open outfield?
field. Yeah, a lot of softball fields tend to be that way. They don't always have the home run fence, so we just kind of want to encompass all the groups and make it open for them.
Yeah, that's a long run on a ball hit to left, but yeah.
Any other questions over here? Questions to my right? Comments?
Is softball, soccer, football, did I see lacrosse in there too?
Yep.
Yes.
And we actually have Lakeside Little League, and they'll be able to use the same softball fields as well.
So these fields can be used 365 days a year.
Yeah. I think we'll have to give it a little bit of a break for the Bermuda grass in the dormant season, but I mean, it'll mostly be raining and wet and unusable for the most part anyways.
Gotcha. I mean, nowadays is football and soccer a fall sport, baseball or softball, a spring sport? Is that still typical, or is it everything?
It kind
all
of
the
goes, you
time?
got competition and tournaments. I mean, it pretty much goes as much as there's open space and the weather for it, kids are going to play.
Gotcha. So you're gonna try to keep all these fields available and striped properly.
Yep.
And these are turf field, natural turf fields. So the striping, you guys have to go out there and restripe depending on the usage.
Yeah, we actually had some of our groups that rent our facilities that they stripe their own fields. The soccer teams and everybody come out and they have a robotic machine for one of the guys. I think it's lacrosse. So it's pretty cool. They get it done pretty quick.
So the district doesn't really have to put it on their budget so much as perpetual striping or restriping.
Nope. And then the other thing is we also have Cagwin, which is our field maintenance. So they come out, do all the mowing and blowing, and it's not going to be too much of a extra expense on our end either.
Mhm.
And it'll be maintained well professionally.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
I'm going to bring this up in a public forum, and I hate to do it, but the only complaint I've heard about the school fields, and it may be Cabot, it may be some of the other fields, I'm not sure, is that the ground is uneven. Maybe that's due to gophers or ground squirrels or something on that line, and they don't like to play on it because of that.
Mhm.
Is there any plans to take care of those type of problems in the future as far as maintenance? It's one thing to renovate them, but if they can't be played on after they're renovated.
Yeah, well, we have the grading of it to kind of change the grade and change the drainage on it. We're going to grade to the existing drains, but also make sure that the water is flowing. We had an engineer come out and kind of go over everything to make sure that the water damage doesn't cause those same type of issues. There are a little bit of ground squirrels, which are everywhere, but I think when you irrigate the field properly, that's less of an issue.
Okay. But if there is a hole, they need to be addressed.
Oh,
That's the
yeah.
only thing. And you ought to be able to see them when they're mowed, so.
That is part of our current practice. We have had to extinguish varmints from the fields at Ridgeview as well as this field. We do have a term,
Pest company.
control.
Yeah. I know, and pesticides in schools don't go well together, so. All right, thank you. That solves the only comment that I have, so. We'll bring it up to the commission, if somebody wants to have any other questions. I see none. I'll turn it back on over to staff. Does staff have any concerns, questions, comments?
I did have a comment. I just wanted to let you know as well, as part of this project, that they are going to include a walking path. The picture got removed. I don't know, it's probably my mistake, but I did do an aerial that showed that Folsom Lake is directly south of the field. And so they're going to plan on having a walking path that connects the school campus to the trails along Folsom Lake.
Okay. There is a gate, a vehicle gate, that prohibits pedestrians in wheelchairs from coming back into that area if they wanted to do that. An ambulatory person, I think, can walk around the outside of the gate or duck underneath the gate. Is there any way that you can make a pedestrian walk around of that vehicle gate?
So there is a walk-around gate that's there right now, and that's what they open up to the public. But I also, this year, installed a gate that has remote access, so I could always open that up remotely from my laptop.
Okay. That's that's a concern that I've heard from people who are trying to get to Folsom Lake through the Cabot parking lot. So,
okay.
Okay.
I'd like to make a comment too.
Sure.
we have had a long-standing joint use agreement for the tennis courts, and I recently actually went out there this week, and they're definitely in need of some tender loving care. They're in rough shape. Additionally, many of the leagues that are clamoring to get their time on this field are ones that Tracy and I work with, and they do a lot of their own striping. And I would be under the assumption that some of the revenue from renting the field would help with the maintenance offsetting costs. So we never had an opportunity to talk, but knowing how we operate our fields, I'm assuming they would be under the same system.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I had to add.
Okay, thank you. About 4 months ago at the Granite Bay MAC, we had a citizen come forward and ask what can be done with the tennis courts. That was 4 months ago, so we sent them on over to your administrator, your superintendent, and thank you for being responsive.
Definitely.
Thank you.
If I can just add one thing, another issue that we had with the field with making issues with it was the mountain bikers riding through the middle of the field. So with the path, that'll give them direct access to the lake. That'll kind of accommodate that issue too.
That's better planning than people did 20 years ago. All right.
So the lower softball field that has grass for part of the infield, so that's not set in stone, or is that how
It's not set in stone right now because we have to add the walking path in there, the
Okay.
multi-use path. So we're gonna have to adjust some things right now, but this was just so you can have a visual of what we're trying to accomplish there.
Because I was just curious about what the distance from home plate to where the grass is going to start on the soccer field. Because if you're running the bases, if that second base is right up,
Yeah, you
on
don't
there,
want to get on the grass.
yeah, it's just that's not an ideal field. So
Yeah.
I was just kind of more curious about the design of that lower field.
Okay, I can touch bases with them and make sure that we, take a look at that and see what we can do.
Okay.
I actually love grading those
Your
fields, so.
concern- I'm sorry, and your concern is that the dirt is gonna interfere with the soccer?
That the grass, no, I'm not worried about the soccer field. I'm more worried about the softball, the infield of the softball field. Because I can't see the distance.
Impacting the infield.
So
Yes.
so the grass is gonna, it's, okay, when I'm looking at that overlay there, it's transparent, showing the dirt underneath. What is the actual surface of that semi-ellipse?
Actually, right now, the grass is, that field is dirt. Is grass. So that lower softball field is actually grass right now. There's not a dirt infield.
Oh, there's not a dirt infield,
No.
but you're gonna build one.
I haven't talked about that in detail yet, but as of right now, it is grass, and
So
we
in
have
other words,
one
if they
that's
didn't
dirt.
build a dirt infield, that wouldn't impact the
Well, it would
play.
be a softball field then if it's not a dirt infield, but
Right, okay.
ideal, the top softball field is ideal because it's got a full dirt infield.
Well, it's just kissing the
Yeah,
water.
and that's pretty
Yeah.
typical. I'm just, the lower one, depending on what the distance is to the grass, if you're rounding second base, if you're, a shortstop, now you're playing in the grass with the lip in front of you. Granted, it may not be a high one, but that's
Right, I
a great
agree
way
with
to
you.
take,
I would
that's a
prefer
great
to
way to
see
take
the-
one to the chops.
The dirt, full dirt in that circle, and the soccer players have to deal with running in dirt as opposed to running in grass.
Yeah, and I think that's probably just your preference on sports.
Is that your preference?
Well, my preference would be to have a normal softball field.
Right, but if the space doesn't allow, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. If my memory serves me right, soccer fields are not, the dimensions are not cast in stone, and they can be massaged a little bit.
They definitely can.
So you might be able to
Shift a little.
take 10 foot off the width
Yes.
and make it safe for the softball players as they're rounding the
Oh, I see,
bases.
jog that thing up and make it less
Yeah,
deep,
or just bring this piece right here up just a little bit.
just kiss the infield.
And one other thing to add to that is these are like the older age group size soccer fields. So the majority of the youth kids wouldn't even be using a field that's that big.
Yeah.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Now, the fields, can you make the fields parallel, or do you run into a problem with the flat land out there and the length of the field?
I think that was the part of the grading and the drainage. And so to use existing drainage, I think that was the safer bet to run it this way, but I can definitely work with the engineer.
It looks like the bottom of the lacrosse field is right in that swale, right across there. And if you could make the, both edges in that swale, you might be able to get further out of that infield.
Yeah,
At least have a discussion with your
yeah,
engineer.
definitely.
Any other questions? Does anybody want to make a motion? I know it's in my area, but I'm chair, and I'd rather somebody else makes a motion.
Your motion.
Thank you.
I want to word this, motion to approve an amount of $950,000 for the renovation of the sports field and tennis courts on the 2,200 acre campus at the Cabot Junior High School.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second?
Jim?
Yeah, it was Jim. Right, all right. All right, we have a motion here to use the fees from the park mitigation fees in the neighborhood of $950,000 from the Area 10 Granite Bay for this project. All in favor, let's do a roll call.
Yes.
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 All right.
Yep.
Okay, it's been moved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Don't go, let's see, what else we have? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we don't need you on the next one, so. All right, Ted's going to talk to us about it, about the
Yeah,
Walk
sorry
of
about
Honor.
that, Chairman. Ted Rell, Placer Parks Project Manager, and here to talk to you today about the another park fee request. This time it's, I wanted to try this laser too, because it says that's the laser button, but it keeps forwarding. Jeremy? So this is a park fee request in the amount of $50,000. We originally had it $75,000, Chairman, if you might remember from the MAC.
Hold the button down. Top one.
Oh, look at that.
There you go.
That is technology beyond my years. Originally, we had come forward to the MAC with $75,000, but for the final presentation, we reduced it to $50,000 after I did a little bit more research and did some specifications on the flagpoles. So these flagpoles are to replace the existing flagpoles that the Granite Bay Rotary installed with the Walk of Honor project in 2021. The Walk of Honor project was taken on by the Granite Bay Rotary to honor the services. And I think that it was represented to only 4 flags at the MAC, but they're going to be 7 flags because everybody doesn't remember the Coast Guard and the Space Force, including a POW MI missing in action flag. So it'll be a total of 7. Here you see 6, but there'll be a Space Force one that's going to be added to it. After further research of municipal quality flagpoles, the existing American flag is 50 foot high. I think the original ask was 75 foot high, and then they ended up having to take it down a little bit. And then the flagpoles that are there now, which is shown on this picture, is they're 20 foot. And everybody, I'm a combat vet myself, disabled, and a lot of people have talked to me about this. Why don't you guys bring the flagpoles up? And the Rotary put them in there with the existing funding they had at the time of the Walk of Honor project. So the Granite Bay Rotary, in showing our gratitude to a lot of work they do in Granite Bay, they put up the pavilions in Granite Bay Park. They put up a pavilion at Ronald Feist Park. They've painted them. They've donated so much to them. I think this is a great gesture to let them know that thank you for their service. So the ask is going to be $50,000 out of the Granite Bay area number 10, and I think with the ask of Eureka School District, which is $950,000, and our ask of $50,000, which is a total $1 million. The Area 10 account right now has $2,330,000 on it, and with this ask, it'll take it down to $1,330,000. So there's still quite a bit of funding in there, and there's still quite a bit of projects in Granite Bay that are going to add to that fund. And as Andy mentioned, there was one retirement community project that just added another $230,000 to Area 10, which you don't see in this report because it just occurred recently. So if anybody has any questions about this, so we're going to purchase, the county's going to purchase the flagpoles, and we're going to deliver them to site. And then the Granite Bay Rotary is going to do the rest from there. They'll put them up, to their specifications. It's kind of a unique way that they're set in. It's a sand pit with a spike at the bottom. And so they set it on top of the spike and fill it with silica sand. And so during windstorms, as it kind of wiggles, it actually gets stronger because the sand settles more and settles more. And then when you have to replace them, they're pretty easy. So you just pull the flagpole out, and then you suck out the sand with a shop vac. And so I was amazed when I saw it, because I'm used to old school where you're pouring, concrete 1/5 the length of the flagpole. So some technology in these flagpoles. And the POW MIA one you see is a little bit shorter because it keeps breaking. So this is a very needed project, and I we'll take this back to the chair for any comment.
Okay, I've got one question. I'm sorry to butt in front of everybody, but how tall are the new poles going to be?
35 foot.
Are they going to be taller than the American?
No, American's 50. So the American's 50, the existing service flags are 20. I think Sean did a rendition. Not that high, but.
Replacement is 35. Okay,
yes.
I heard 55 or 75. Okay.
No, so where the original project, Walk of Honor project, the Granite Bay Rotary proposed the American flag at 75 foot, and the community went, whoa, that's,
Okay. Are they replacing that pole at all, or are they leaving it?
No, that's in good condition.
So the ones that they're replacing 20-foot poles, and they're going to make them 35?
35 foot.
Gotcha.
Those are just the military service flags and the POW MIA flag.
Are the bases the same diameter or different diameter?
They're going to be the same diameter.
On the old footings, they're not going to be able to reuse
They're going to have to put new footings in, sorry. The old ones were old concrete set the way they were. These new ones are set in sand, so they're going to have to put the new
that answers all my questions. Thank you.
cylinders in.
Okay. At this point, I'd like to open it up to the commission. Mr. Hooker? Jim?
Does Parks do the maintenance for this specific spot?
For where they're on, the property they're on, or the flags themselves?
The flags and the poles, we put it at half staff when you need to, et cetera.
So the Granite Bay Rotary because they're lighted too, so they don't have to be raised and lowered every day because there's lights there. But the Granite Bay Rotary has an agreement with the local fire district who does the presidential proclamations to do the half staff on the flag. So the fire district, the South Placer Fire District goes out there and changes the flag. Maintenance of the flags themselves, when they wear out, the Rotary does all that. Yeah.
And any questions, comments? Jeremy?
Yeah. So are these maintenance free?
For the county, yes, but
Are they steel where they have to be painted?
No, it'll be a brushed stainless steel of municipal quality with an outside lanyard. The outside lanyard, I'm still kind of considering that if we have funding. You have two types of poles. One is the outside lanyard with an exposed rope, or what the Navy, if you're a sailor, it's called a Cunningham. And there's an interior one too. So the exterior lanyard the poles are about anywhere from $3,500 to $4,000 a piece, and the interior ones go from $5,000 to $7,000. The Rotary they said the exterior is fine with them, but I'm thinking if we do interior, it'd just be less maintenance on the ropes, but we'll look into that with available funding that we have.
If I remember right, at Feist Park, we had the interior hallowed because we were concerned about vandalism.
Exactly, and that's what we're thinking about. That's what we have out here as well. So
Interior, you said.
The interior is what we had, yeah.
So even though we reduced the funding from the 75,000, I believe from my research, we'll have plenty of funding to do the interior as well.
Yeah.
And then the lighting, so the existing lighting is gonna be able to get to the 35 feet bright enough as opposed to that 20 feet?
Yeah, and the service flags don't have to be lit, it just the American flag has to be lit.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Anybody from the audience with a question or comment? Seeing none? If somebody is ready with a motion?
Do we have a motion?
We do not have a motion yet.
Oh, okay. I'd like to make that motion, if I can recite it properly. Where am I? An amount of 50,000. I'd like to make a motion to suggest the Board of Supervisors from Recreation Area 10, $50,000 for the replacement of the Walk of Honor service flagpoles. Close enough.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Was that Jeremy? No. Okay, Rick. Okay.
Who's our commissioner from Forest Hill that retired?
Phil Grisher.
Rich Murray. So Rich.
Rich Murray, I'm sorry, and he was a good military man.
I wish he was here because he used to give me a hard time when we have these meetings and he would scrutinize the flags in the background, go, American flag.
So we had to put it up on a book or something to make sure it was higher than that.
And last time when I presented the Walk of Honor, the original Walk of Honor project to him at the commission, he said, that Army flag is going to be 2 inches higher than the rest of them, right?
That's not flag code.
No, if the Navy flag is.
No, all the armed forces are equal. All right.
That's right.
All right, it's been moved, it's been seconded that we move or use 50,000 of the Area 10 Granite Bay Park Fund in lieu fees for the flagpoles. That sound about right? Okay. Let's do a roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Ricker?
Yes.
Bergman?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Ted, did you have a picture
Thank
of the
you.
service flags with the Space Force flag? Did you have that in one of your
I
slides?
don't.
I'm
Well,
wondering what that
actually,
was.
I think the Space Force flag
like
is
the
all
one
black
on-
with a
on-
white
blue one.
insignia.
It looks like the one on Star Trek.
I don't know off the top of
Does
my
it?
head.
Okay, I'll look.
I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
Federation.
I'm just wondering what their nickname is going to be, because Air Force is Zoomies and, the Marines are Jarheads. I'm a squid. So I
Yeah.
wonder what the Space Force is going to be.
Well, and then what will their song be?
Oh. Yeah, it's not off we go anymore.
Yeah.
We have
right.
the Wild Blue Yonder, but
I lost my agenda here. I buried it. Okay, all right. We are to that point in our meeting for commissioner comments. We can, let's start with Mr. Hooker.
Nope.
I see the light. Okay,
There we
all
go.
right. Jim? Any comments?
this is great that we got all of us here together, and I'm very pleased, and we got some stuff done today. So, and like Dwayne Whitlaw used to say, spend that money.
Along those lines, Commissioner Ricker, is next year, 2025, is going to be our first, I believe it's our first, 5-year park fee report. We have to report on, park fees, we have to use them or lose them, or earmark them for the 5-year point. So next year will be our first report for the 5-year analysis.
Interesting.
And that's all obviously per fund, right? You need to
Yeah,
share
it's
that
for
with the communities from
all
whence they
areas.
came.
We take that to the board and give them, because we do an annual report. So our annual report is going to be the January or the April 23rd board meeting will be our annual report. And then next year we'll do an annual and a 5-year.
Right, okay.
Is when the money comes in to the county, there's 5 years to dispose of?
It's gotta be allocated.
Allocated, doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it has to be earmarked, and we have a lot of it earmarked, but,
Right.
like Andy had said earlier in the report, we're kind of heavy in some of these area funds. And one of the reasons for that, and one of the difficulties for us, and I don't know if Andy has shared this with you, is in talking with the auditor's office, they don't see these areas as being mixable, whereas before, like Hidden Falls, we'd pull from the areas surrounding because it's a regional project, and so there's a nexus, but we wouldn't take money from the Park 13 area, which is in the west end of Placer, and use it for parks up in the Tahoe area because there's no nexus to that. But with the opinion of our auditor, who sees it as more of the areas as a fund rather than a fee area, we're no longer allowed to mix and match those areas that match the project. However, that being said, we are, earlier in the report, we just said that we finished our RFP with a consultant who's going to update our fee program, and we're going to see if we can do something to resolve that, because we pretty much came up with those areas on a whim. There was really nothing. We just kind of drew some lines on a map and said this area is Colfax and this area is, and we kind of related them around the max. So max have a boundary. But we never took into account that this would have any accounting repercussions. But the auditor says, no, if it's in Colfax, you got to use Colfax fund. It's a Dutch flat pool, you can only be Dutch flat. So it presented some problems to us. So we're going
You
to
need
try
to call them all regional parks then.
well, even if it's a regional park.
Yeah, but you heard tonight that the skate park is going to be regional. Dutch Flat Pool is regional.
Yeah, we're gonna address that in our park fee
Good.
update, because we haven't done one since 2004, so we're due.
Otherwise, we'll come and ask for general funds.
There you go.
Or divide the county into 3 areas.
Yeah.
I mean, would you suppose that consultant that's hired to help with this would recommend that the high growth areas west of West Placer be busted up into another agent, fund perhaps?
One thing that's gonna be looked at too, there are some areas that are all built out, and there's no more funds coming in
Right, like
because.
Tahoe's pretty, boom, it's done.
Right. In Commissioner Ricker's area, the middle of Placer between Tahoe and Auburn, there's really not a lot of development in that area. West End, I got a lot of money over there where Bickford, Riolo Vineyards, the Vineyards Project,
And the ultimate population growth over there
yeah,
may have different socioeconomic or different needs,
correct, correct. So it'll be exciting to see this new fee study come out. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, let's continue on with commissioner comments. We have any on the left side of the room?
Okay.
All right.
There we go.
Thank you. We haven't done anything out in Grant Bay for a long time. We have one person there that is just really hot for trails. And she was the only one that voiced a concern about using funds on flagpoles instead of on trails, and using it to repair the fields instead of working it on trails. But there's money still allocated, and she's been a go-getter, so we're going to just keep on encouraging her to get as many people involved in her trails and getting volunteers, just like they did for the skate park up there. You get other sources of money to come in, not just parking.
Not just dedication, right.
Yeah, all right.
All righty.
So then our next park commission's meeting.
May 16th, so Andy asked me to make a couple quick comments about that, so. That will be our spring
15th?
tour, the 16th.
16.
Yeah, that will be our spring tour. We usually do one in the spring and one in the fall. We're gonna go take a look at Loomis Park, for a future project that will be coming to your commission to look for some funding for, funding approval, as well as Sterling Point Park in Granite Bay. And then our tour is going to end at the Newcastle, school, where the Parks Commission approved funding for, the new field. And we're gonna have ribbon cutting there, and I believe we're gonna have our commission meeting there that evening. And then Tracy will be reaching out to everyone because that's typically when we do a dinner. So, and then for our September tour, we're looking forward to taking everyone to Tahoe. So that's what we have coming up in the next.
Okay.
I heard they're still going to have snow up there.
They very well may.
All right. Well,
Okay, thank you.
thank you, and thanks, everybody, for showing up. It's been good having a full board up here, so thank
And
you.
everybody wave to the camera. Thank you, Jeremy.
And this meeting is now closed.